Hello and welcome to Simple Scotch Reviews. Today we have Glen Moray. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey from the Speyside region. Almost said Highland there. Speyside region. This is the port cask finish. It's an NAS whiskey as well. No statement about coloring, so assuming colors added. Finished in port pipes. So this is a cheap whiskey. So keep that in mind when the review comes. Glen Moray, one of my favorite budget lines of whiskey. I enjoy their 25-year-old and some other their high-end ones. I'd like to try the 18. For some reason, I still haven't tried. But Glen Moray to me is always solid. It's not always my favorite, but usually it slots itself in where it's this clever. It knows it can't compete at the price point, so it goes to a lower price point, and then it's like, yeah, well, now it's good. So, this whiskey certainly falls into a very low price point, and what's funny is it smashes the competition because its competition at that price point is all those bottom shelf names that I wouldn't consider buying because I'd rather not drink Scotch than drink those whiskeys. So, and that came off really that's not a snobbery thing. Glen Moray is not a high-end, well-respected, amazing Scotch. It's cheaper Scotch, and I like it. I like a lot of cheap Scotches. It's just there are some of those that don't really taste like Scotch because they taste more like plastic and rubbing alcohol down on the way bottom shelf that you may not have thought are in the Scotch section because they're so low on the bottom shelf. But yeah, not trying to make this about looking down on those whiskeys at all. I've tried them all. I've tried all the ones on the bottom shelf because I want to find that gem that is cheap and is good. And usually those two things don't always go together because if it were that good, it'd be more expensive. But whatever Glen Moray is doing, they're doing right because this is a great whiskey and it's cheap. So let's get into this one. I also have my trusty notes here because I have taken some time with this whiskey prior to the review. I'll say it looks like I didn't take time because all the whiskey's in the glass that fills up this bottle, but I have always keep a bottle on hand. The only thing is I saw Glen Moray on clearance. The little bottles were on sale, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't done reviews of Glen Moray, and I may as well grab these to crack one open fresh so that there's no, concern of, well, this one's been open for 6 months, so it's going to taste different than if I tell you to go buy it and you taste it and you're like, this doesn't taste the same. So none of that changed over time. I figured, heck, for under $1, we'll do this, just get this little bottle and do that. On the nose, there's citrus, there's caramel, there's fruit. Not necessarily what I was expecting from the port influence, but citrus for sure, caramel. There's just a nondescript fruit note in there as well. I don't want to place a name on it. When I do these Glen Moray reviews, I feel like I'm always saying that because I can normally pick out fruit flavors. It's just Glen Moray, whatever reason. Maybe there's just a bunch of them just shoved together that I can't pick them apart, but there's definitely baking spice. So I'm getting citrus, specifically orange, caramel. I am getting some red apple, maybe some pear. Those are common fruits I get in whiskeys. Yeah, so those orchard fruits along with the citrus, caramel, baking spice. My mind always runs with comparisons I could make with these whiskeys. But you can't make 500 reviews of the same whiskeys just battling against one another. So let's taste here. This is a sweet whiskey. May come off to some as cloyingly so. Just It is almost in that dessert category. It's a fruit bouquet, I'd say. It's just lots of fruit going on. Kind of like the nose, those citrus and orchard fruits and all those kinds of fruits. I'm not getting, though, any kind of like berry necessarily. Berry, fig, plum, raisin. Not those heavier fruits that I do get from sherry cask whiskeys. Obviously, this isn't sherry cask, it's port cask. But I do get some more of those heavier fruit flavors in, like, say, a Quinta Ruban 12, another port finished whiskey. But here I'm getting more of the other fruit flavors, not necessarily tropical either. So more citrus and then those apple, pear, those kind of things. There's baking spice as well. Let's taste it one more time and then go through the notes if there was anything I'd found picking it apart over time. Yeah, I marked down sweet because it's sweet. I haven't had a whiskey that I'd say is necessarily too sweet, but I can see when I think something's just sweet, to some people that are very sensitive or dislike sweet whiskeys, might be too much. Lots of fruits going on. Apple, grape. Oh, I hadn't said grape before. I must have got a hint of grape at some point when having this one. Let's see if I can get it now. I guess I can convince myself there's some like purple grape in there, but I'm not really getting a grapey note now. But these notes I took over several sessions of having this whiskey to pick it apart. Finish is lingering. So Glen Moray budget line, I highly recommend. The only thing is that this one has, as I recall, the longest finish of all of them. So if that's important to you, this one definitely does it. Like the sherry cask one, also a good whiskey, very good for the price whiskey. Doesn't have the finish that this one has. I enjoy the finish on this one more than the sherry cask. So if you're debating which of them to try, also there's an element of, I don't know how prices are everywhere else. The port finish is actually a bit cheaper than the sherry cask. So to me, the port wins every time. But both are good whiskeys. Both are different. If you're rotating around the budget, want a different bottle, you're always having one. Definitely change it up. Try something new. But when I'm saying good value is, I know it was on sale. This whiskey's under $20 in my area. I think the regular price in my area is something like $24, but it was like closer to $15. And it is, at that price point, I should have bought them all on the shelf because it's good whiskey. At that price, it's unmatched and not even anything comes remotely close. But in that $20-ish range, there are very few single malts, and what there are not always good, but I do have some that I enjoy in that price point. But I would definitely put the port finish as a absolute must-try for a value whiskey. You may like it even if you're someone that stays away from the value whiskeys, but if you're like me and you're always hunting for that good value whiskey, this is it. If you haven't had it, stop right now, go to the store, get it. But must try for the price. It's amazing. In general, price aside, it's a good whiskey. And the fact that the price is that, yeah, great deal. Get this whiskey. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the other Glen Morays. Find one that's for you. To me, Glen Moray is my recommendation for any kind of what's a good value, budget, low-end whiskey, Glen Moray. Check out the channel. There's tons of reviews. There's going to be more. There's going to be some bourbons and rye. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. So check them out. Check the channel, subscribe, get notified, and enjoy your scotch. Thanks for watching.